Dixon from George Barnsdale and Sons timber window manufacturers, established in 1884, incredibly impressive, who's going to tell us something about from seed to window. So over to you, Tom. Steve, sorry.
Yeah.
Even your name wrong, sorry.
Good start. So, hello everybody and good afternoon everyone. As Paul mentioned, my name's Steve Dixon. I'm here today to explain the many benefits of modern benefits of timber windows and doors. As of last week, I've worked for George Barnsdale's for 30 years. I started here as an apprentice bench joiner. Certainly a lot of things have changed over the last 30 years, but the sort of commitment to the quality and the testing hasn't particularly wavered for themselves. So today's CPD looks at the human genetic link to trees and the history of timber as a building product. Evolutionary speaking, humans and trees shared a common ancestor around 1.5 billion years ago. Over half of the plant genes have a recognisable counterpart in humans, which means that we have a very close connection to nature and trees. It's hardly surprising then that obviously timber and other natural materials have such a can have such a positive effect on us as human beings. Many of the toys we played with as children were made from timber and were passed on through generations. And so as you can see, we've got quite a connection to timber. Starts at a very, very early life. The quote that you can see is from a podcast called The Crypto Naturalist. And when you read the quote there, it sounds very much like a science fiction. But it's been seen as one of the reasons that humans have been able to evolve the built environment through history. So it sounds a very scientific thing, but it's completely true. For thousands of years, trees have played a very crucial part and the universal part in the development of buildings. This is useful and versatile, very useful and versatile material has been used for construction, furniture, fuel, tools, weapons, and many more. The Neolithic longhouse, these longhouses were built by the first farmers in Europe around 6000 BC. The House of Opus, which is a type of construction favoured by the Romans, which consisted of a timber outer frame, very similar to how we probably manufacture it now, and then with a pebble or a rock infill, which is still dealt with in some areas of the UK. The Horigiri Temple, widely acknowledged to be the oldest wooden building existing in the world, and over 1,400 years old, which is obviously something I think we'd all like to achieve in modern buildings nowadays. The house in Stafford, UK, which is the largest remaining timber frame building in the UK, and the Swatch headquarters, which is an example of how timber in modern architecture and construction can create quite a fantastic building. The environmental and construction benefits. So by using modern manufacturing and specialist treatments and microporous paints, we've taken one of the nature's most versatile, beautiful materials and created industrial levels of durability, energy efficiency and longevity. By using the defect-free engineered softwoods and quality hardwoods, very capable of offering a genuine and better alternatives to the steel and plastic. Biological and perceptual effects. So stress levels can be high, especially over the past few months. Research has demonstrated that the presence of timber or wood can reduce those stress levels as well as the heart rate and blood pressure. It can also improve attention, focus and creative thought. It promotes a faster recovery rate and lower pain perceptions in healthcare patients. This is then how that we then create high performing timber windows from the raw material, which is the trees. So the manufacturing process of the timber itself. So stage one, felling. So the forestry worker will then determine when and which trees should be cut depending on the maturity. We only use timber from source from the FSC certification scheme. It ensures that the forest is managed in a well and preserved biological diversity and has benefits obviously for the local people and sustains an economic viability for them. The felled trees are replaced with saplings, and so obviously then the forest then has chance to grow, provide much a sustainable resource for future generations to come. Stage two, which is the storing and haulage. Logs are mainly stored in the forest clearings until they're needed for the sawmills. Very rarely they're taken straight to the sawmills. They're then generally cut to the smaller lengths on site, which obviously certainly helps with the transportation of the timber. Stage three, which is the conversion. Once at the sawmill, the logs are debarked and cut in required lengths. And by using equipment such as circular saws, very large band saws, they're converted into the planks of timber which you'd be more used to seeing on the building sites. And by doing that, it utilises the log in the most effective way, which you can see they've chopped in very different ways. Seasoning. So the majority of the timber is seasoned by kiln drying. Very little timber, some timber is air dry, but very little is done that way nowadays. When a tree is first felled, it's probably got moisture content is very large, probably around 40 to 50%. And for us to use that in manufacturing, we would need that around the 14%. So you can see it needs sort of drying quite a lot. Even less for furniture, but for timber windows and doors, it's around 14% that we need that. Finally, stage five, the manufacture, which is obviously when it can be made and manufactured into much more refined product, windows, doors, furniture, and all the various products that we can use to manufacture timber. It is essential that correct timber is specified and for used, and as mentioned earlier, we'll discuss this in more detail in one of the future CPDs, but here's some sort of basics. The majority of timbers are now supplied an engineered product, so 3-ply laminated product or 4-ply laminated. Certainly helps massively with stability of timber, has significant benefits in reducing the waste, which is key. And also it offers quite a lot of benefits for the people who are doing the kiln drying process, as it reduces or enables them to get more into the kilns, which then reduces the amount of fuel needed to obviously heat the kilns, because they're not then trying to dry out such large logs. The main timber that we use is an engineered softwood, also known as Scots pine, European redwood, and several other more trade names. Mainly grown in and around Scandinavia. Softwood timbers with hardwood sills had been used for manufacturing windows and doors for hundreds of years. And if manufactured correctly and maintained correctly, they'll perform many years and offer excellent performance. The next one on the slide is Red Grandis, which is a hardwood. Provides a very stable and is a very stable and durable timber, and with a clear face and quite an attractive grain pattern. We recommend it. Grandis is used for products where a stained finish is required. European oak, very strong, very durable hardwood, very attractive grain and colour. The grain pattern can vary quite a lot. And there is potential issues around the using it when the movement of oak Accoya, this is a modified softwood, whether you've heard of it before, I'm unsure, which is one of the highest durability ratings of timber. We tend to use this more for the external profiles as it offers a very durable and stable base for the paint system that we're using, and also helps with the longer term performance and low maintenance of the finished product. This is just a case study on the red granite itself. It's, as is mentioned, it's a plantation grown hardwood. It offers knot-free, very uniform appearance. Structurally very good. It's very high quality finish. Very long wide boards can be dealt with. Very easy to machine. And sort of current research suggests that granite is probably one of the most efficient timbers in capturing carbon dioxide and converting it into timber. Specifying sustainable timber windows and doors. So wood-based windows and doors make a significant contribution to sustainable construction. Timber is widely becoming accepted as one of the main solutions to achieving the zero carbon in the built environment. And at George Barnsdale, we continue to look at further ways that we can improve. Looking at acquiring homegrown timber is one way that's durable and fit for purpose. We're currently working on a project with a company called Barnsdale Timber, who specialise in the UK grown timbers, and we're looking at to test the strength and performance as to whether that be then used in our products. We're fully committed to minimising the amount of waste we send to the landfill, where possible we recycle products, materials, and constantly looking at the materials to prevent the deterioration and disposal of them. Research and development is something we're constantly working on and have throughout the years, as you'll see on the slide, right from early 1930s when Fred Barnsdale assisted with the development of BS 644, which is the British standard for timber windows. We're one of only a few timber window companies in the whole of Europe that's been involved in many of the most recent research and development projects. We have our own in-house dedicated R&D centre, which is something that you possibly won't find on many of the larger manufacturers, really. We've got a range of equipment in there, such as a weather test rig, salt spray tester for dealing with the hardware, and we've also got a monitoring station in there for sealed units to look at the long-term performance of the sealed units in timber windows. In summary, modern timber products can be both aesthetically pleasing and have very high levels of durability and energy efficiency. As humans, we've got an extremely close connection to trees and specifically the natural world in general. Timber can help reduce stress levels as well as the heart rate and the blood pressure, and is one of the widely recognised as one of the optimal solutions for achieving zero carbon. And finally, a little bit about George Barnsdale's. As Paul mentioned at the start, was established in 1884, and he's still a family-owned company with the MD Tom Wright being the fifth generation Barnsdale to lead the company for that. As I mentioned at the start of CPD, worked for George Barnsdale for 30 years, and not the only one. There's Darren Templeman, our production director, has also been here 30 years. Along with two other members of staff as well who work in the workshop. We've also got many members of staff with over 15 years service, which is something we're massively proud of. Thank you all for your time. I hope we've inspired you to fully realise the benefits of timber windows, and I'll hand you back to Paul.